me, to my me. I'm about to don't get out the way. To me, to my me. I'm about the way. Don't get out the way. I'm about the way. I'm about the way. I'm about to don't get out the way. Ready give them battle, ready give them battle, ready give them battle, all time, ready give them battle, don't get out the way.
Estamos de volta com o programa Academia em Debate. Hoje sobre a relação entre cristianismo e psicologia, com o Dr. David Paulison, estudou psicologia na Universidade de Harvard e tem um doutorado em História da Ciência, em Medicina e Psiquiatria na Universidade de Pensilvânia. E nós vamos tratar agora sobre uma questão bastante polêmica e que tem despertado a curiosidade tanto de psicólogos quanto de pastores, que é a questão de pessoas profundamente perturbadas. Dr. Paulison, existe possessão demoníaca ou é somente uma questão de distúrbio mental?
One set of experiences that I had in my life, for which I am profoundly grateful, is I worked for 4 years in an inpatient psychiatric facility after college. And in that time, I suppose I got to know well 1,000 people who had been hospitalized. Everything: schizophrenia, depression, mania, addictions. I even at one point got to know very well a lady who was an old-fashioned hysteric, straight out of Sigmund Freud, straight out of the 19th century. And I developed several convictions during that point. One is that clearly these people, they're there for a reason. Their lives are deeply disturbed and unable to function, perhaps suicidal, perhaps homicidal. We would get criminally insane as well. But when you get to know a person well, every one of them, without fail, was recognizably a human being. The degree of their struggles was far more than mine. I got to go home at night. They didn't. Mm-hmm. But in kind, we were alike in what we struggled with. Now, that says something about more the mental illness side of your question, that whatever's going on, and I'm agnostic and curious about maybe they'll find some contributory factors, but you always have a human being, which also means that sin is always playing out. Not the only factor, but among the significant factors. The demon possession question, going on the other side, the passage I think that's most illuminating here is the Gadarene demoniac in the Bible, in whom there were a legion of demons that Jesus cast out. And the way I would interpret that is that the demonization that the Bible describes almost always involves physical ailments, convulsions, blindness, deafness, and so forth. In that one particular case, I would by extension say what you're witnessing is a man who is suffering so intensely it is driving him insane. Which, even I think we can see analogy in when someone is tortured, whether under Hitler or some modern torture, a degree of torture that drives someone insane. I see the demonizations in the Bible, in other words, as a form of suffering that it afflicts people as moral agents, and I certainly believe it can happen today. Not in the way it's often interpreted, as though you have a demon of pride, a demon of fear, a demon of addiction. But those are sins which come from the human heart. But there can certainly be afflictions that cause extreme suffering, just as there can be cancer that has natural causes, or torture if you are put into a gulag or something like this.
Uma das coisas que os psicólogos modernos objetam contra a religião é que diariamente entram nas instituições de saúde mental religiosos, pessoas fanáticas, profundamente perturbadas. E eles dizem que a religião deixa a pessoa doida mesmo. Em vez de ajudar, na verdade, a religião é um fator que contribui para o enlouquecimento de muitas pessoas. O que é que o senhor acha disso?
I can't help but laughing, and I'll give a personal story. When I came to Christian faith, I was working in a psychiatric hospital. And at that point, we had 3 young men who had delusions of grandeur, were schizophrenic, with one thought he was Christ, one thought he was John the Baptist, and another thought he was God. So our hall had about 25, 30 patients. So these 3 would actually get together and try to allocate the power structure of their forms of madness. But the air was full of talk of God and Bible and the day of judgment and so forth, and it was all crazy. So then I become a Christian, and now I'm talking about God and Jesus and Bible, and I think my fellow staff members are looking at me a little bit like, which side of the keys are you on? Should we let you go home tonight, or should we confiscate your keys? But what was so interesting is as the days and the weeks and the months unfolded, what they saw in a genuine Christian faith was 180 degrees the opposite of paranoia. Paranoia is very grandiose. It's terrified of people. You might say it's a highly exaggerated form of pride and the fear of man. You live in terror and you live in grandiosity. You're so important, but the whole world's out to get you. Whereas Christian faith evidences humility and honesty and a candor about yourself. And it actually led to a very powerful witness to my fellow workers. I was working, this is a secular psychiatric hospital, and when I left to go to seminary a year later, the staff had a farewell party for me in which they gave me a Bible, which I took as a very moving gesture, because psychiatric hospital staffs don't give Bibles to people, but they gave me a Bible as a gesture of respect, because they saw how Christian faith was actually the opposite of religious delusion.
Dr. David Paulison esteve no Mackenzie para o 5º Congresso Internacional de Ética e Cidadania, que tratou da relação entre cristianismo e psicologia. Dr. Paulison, nós queremos agradecer a sua presença aqui no nosso programa e dizer da nossa convicção de que as suas respostas, com certeza, ajudaram, esclareceram e abençoaram a vida dos nossos telespectadores. Muito obrigado a você e até o próximo programa Academia em Debate. Até lá.